Shortages in clinical placement for healthcare professions present nationwide challenges. The shrinking number of healthcare clinical sites and the corresponding backlog of healthcare students waiting for clinical placement present major problems in healthcare education and graduation rates. Traditional clinical experience is dependent on many factors, such as clinical site access, length of patient stay and acuity, disparities in learning experiences, and the availability of clinical instructors to supervise skills and performance. The current approaches of clinical simulation training alleviate these limitations, however, present other challenges. High-fidelity mannequins and simulation labs are expensive and only accessible at certain times. Standardized patients, actors, and clinical trainers aren't widely accessible, and students are usually required to practice in a group. Clinical Virtual Physical Therapy, or Clinical VPT, is a collaboration between Regis University and the University of Texas at Dallas. The clinical VPT research aims to define a virtual clinical experience that would provide a solution to the placement shortage and identify the required technology, design, and assessment framework for evaluating clinical competency and skill performance. Clinical VPT is designed to expose learners to the complexity of real-world clinical experiences in a cyber-based environment. High-fidelity virtual and game-based simulations allow for creation of reproducible training scenarios and other interactive learning modules that are linked to web-based learning portals that both guide and evaluate student performance. In clinical VPT, just as in traditional clinical experience, students demonstrate knowledge of the NIH stroke scale assessment by examining Mr. Hunt. Mr. Hunt is a high-fidelity, virtual, 55-year-old ischemic stroke patient who exhibits realistic signs of someone who just had a stroke. As such, Mr. Hunt's speech is slurred and hard to understand.
And can you tell me, how old are you?
55.
His lower lip is sagging in the corner, he has trouble following instructions, and his motor reflex skills are diminished. For each stroke scale item included, the first time a student efficiently and correctly evaluates Mr. Hunt, a corresponding badge is awarded. A final and most difficult badge can be earned by evaluating all of the stroke scale items efficiently, correctly, and in just the right order in a single playthrough of the game. The stroke scale assessment simulation was designed to represent real-life clinical protocol. At the end of the episode, students are provided with a review page that displays a breakdown of their performance. In clinical VPT, student performance and accuracy are tracked, assessed, and scored, and students are debriefed to help them improve performance. Students can access clinical VPT asynchronously on their own at all hours and days and as many times as necessary.
Can you tell me, are you having any pain?
The experience is randomized during replays, and students must perform the stroke scale assessment in a clinically correct process each time. Faculty and students who tested clinical VPT were asked to reflect on the experience. The following suggestions were made for improving the virtual clinical experience. The results of the initial prototype testing are encouraging. High-fidelity, easily accessible virtual clinical simulations offer a flexible, measurable, and cost-effective means to provide a portion of the healthcare student's clinical experience and hold promise as one major solution for addressing the shortage of clinical placements. High-fidelity virtual and game-based simulations allow for creation of reproducible training scenarios and other interactive learning modules that are linked to web-based learning portals that both guide and evaluate student performance. Virtual game-based simulations can be customized with increasing levels of complexity to represent the kind of dynamics that arise in real-world settings beyond the classroom. It is this capability for composability and personalization that supports ongoing research into high-fidelity game-based simulations as a viable substitute for a traditional clinical experience.